Sean Finnegan, and you are listening to Restitutio, a podcast that seeks to recover authentic Christianity and live it out today. Growing up in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Timypaul Lupe came face to face with poverty, hunger, and even war. However, his relationship with God provided him with stability and strength through the hardest of times. In this interview, you'll hear about what life was like in Africa, how Timypaul came to America as a student, and how he eventually came to find his role as a passionate evangelist and caretaker for the needy. Here now is Coming to America with Timypaul Lupe. Well, welcome, Timypaul, to Restitutio. So glad to talk with you today. And I wonder if we could get started by you telling us a little bit about your childhood. Like, what was it like growing up in the Democratic Republic of the Congo?
Thank you, Pastor Sean. I am very happy to be here. So growing up in the Congo was a total different animal. You face so much challenges that, for example, you have natural tendency to obey parents because they provide for you. So I would say food is a big deal. Eating is a big deal. So for most children, they understand their parents. They do their best to raise them, and the society is just so different. We are very dependent on parents, even to the level of being obedient, because somehow we know the parents will give us something, so we will be, very obedient and listen. So it's a lot easier to raise kids there than it is here, because the society just makes it easier for parents to raise the kids because of scarcity and poverty. So
that's really interesting. So you were more obedient as a child, you think, than our American children?
Yes, I just had my mom's friends called Deborah. She talked to me a lot. She basically saw me growing. So she was saying, "What did your mom do to raise you up? What is it like a secret weapon or a big secret she used to raise you up? How did she do it?" I told her, it's just a society. And basically, when you understand that life is very challenging for your parents, and they do their best to even respond to your basic needs like food and clothing, you don't give them a hard time. So naturally for me and my two sisters, we just understood we need to be obedient. But most importantly, I would say the Word of God changed a lot of things, because I was raised within Christianity, and we will read the Bible. Like my father and mother, they would teach us the Bible. We read, we will repeat, and we will memorize the verses. And this verse, I think in Ephesians, I forgot exactly where it is, but where it says, children, obey your parents.
Yeah, Ephesians 6:1.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Enfants, obéissez à vos parents selon le Seigneur, car cela est juste. That is in French. I memorized that since I was a kid. So we will understand that God is sovereign, and we as children, we have to obey Him by obeying our parents. We were really mature, really at a young age. So yeah.
So you would say that your faith was always important to you?
Yes.
Just as far back as you could remember?
Oh, yeah.
Did you ever have a conversion experience or a moment where you made a strong decision to follow Jesus, or has just always been there?
This is an interesting question, actually. I'm thinking back. So though my sisters and I, we found our parents already active in Christianity, being pastors and missionary, but we were raised with, the Word of God. It was already real since we were kids and growing up. But when I was 13 years old, I experienced God at a very personal level. That changed my life completely until today.
Oh, tell us about that.
So I was 13 years old, and the thing that changed everything was what is called the speaking in tongues. And I think most Christians have heard of it, and some practice it, others don't. My parents were always spoke in tongues. My sisters and I will hear them speak in tongues. We will not really ask questions. we would just understand this is different. We didn't know what it was. And so growing up, as we matured in reading the Bible, and we started asking questions. What is this language? What is it? So then my father will, like, I remember he started introducing that, this is speaking in tongues. It was in the Bible with the apostles, and they spoke in tongues. And so it was awesome. So, and I say, I personally told him that I will want that. And then he set up like time. We were, going to school, but he set up time. Okay, some days we will read about it, speaking in tongues, and we'll see how it goes. So that was, I think, really good leadership on his behalf. One of the great memories I have of him. He went through the Bible about speaking in tongues, and he prayed. He started speaking in tongues. He said, speak. And we start speaking in tongues. So it was amazing. Mm-hmm. It was an extraordinary thing. I was thinking about this. Where is this language coming from? He didn't touch me. The Bible didn't go inside of me. Yeah. But tongues came out of me. Yeah. So that really, like, at a personal level, when I was 13 years old, taught me God is real. And I can experience that. It was just amazing. I can't forget this.
So growing up, you had a Christian upbringing.
Yeah.
And you weren't particularly rebellious because that wasn't really the culture. And at 13, you had a turning point in your life where the faith really became personal to you. Yes. You had an experience with God that changed you. Yeah. And how old are you now?
27.
27. So that was half a lifetime ago.
Yes. Yes.
And you're still remembering it like it was yesterday.
Yeah,
I can see that in your eyes. Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about what spirituality is like in the DRC. Like, around here, we have so many atheists, especially in the frozen north. We have lots of secular people and what I call post-Catholics, people who maybe have a vague memory of going to church when they were kids, but don't go anymore. And, there are some believers as well in different faiths, especially Christianity, but it's almost like more unusual to be a believer than an unbeliever in our culture, especially among younger people today. But in the DRC, people are more spiritual. Would you say that's true?
Yes, I will say that is true.
How would you describe what your average person in Kinshasa, what is their spiritual outlook?
Yeah, so I would say if the people, like one person in Kinshasa, in the DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo, if they never heard of God, they will still believe in something. It's called like animism. Probably heard of that. So people there will attribute ancestors coming back to guide them, something like that. So they will believe in something if it's not Christianity. So there is a lot of spiritism, but you have, I would say 85% of the people of the Congo are Christian. I would not say true practicing Christian, but they know of Jesus Christ and God.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting. So when you first came here, how old were you? And tell us what your impression was. What stuck out to you upon first arriving here?
So I was 25 years old, and I came here in June 2018. Well, it's a different world, as I can go back to a Disney movie that is very familiar to your culture here, Pocahontas, like when she went to England. So things were more colorful, I would say, because so in the Congo, you have the dry season and the rainy season. So during the dry season, you have a lot of dust. So here I didn't see that. And it's this world is colorful. But as far as people are concerned, it was a total different worlds. Like I could see more kindness, especially in the people of the church community. In school, like I went to Hudson Valley Community College, I could also really feel a different mindset in people. It's really just different.
I remember when you first arrived, you talked about the roads.
Oh.
What was it about the roads that got your attention?
Yeah, so in the Congo, you have a lot more of broken infrastructure. So the roads are not nice. We have a very sad political leadership. Unfortunately, the leaders are so corrupted that they will just pave and fix the roads that they use, that the people in power use. They go to the airport, they go to the Congress, and they will have it. So most roads are broken. When you drive, first it will just like tear down your tire, your car. It will not stay for many years, and you really like kind of dance like. You have a lot
You're
of
bouncing.
You bounce a lot, yeah. So yeah, you bounce like you move your head because you have so much potholes on the roads. So that was really different to see how big roads are here, like highways, and they're a lot bigger here. And
Yeah. Because you came into New York City, and then drove up here to Albany. It's about 3 hours drive.
Oh, yeah.
And smooth roads the whole way.
Oh yes. Oh, I was very tired, and I was sleeping, and I was with a brother, Dan Fitzsimmons, very good guy. I really am thankful that he came pick me up.
And he brought you to McDonald's?
Oh yes, I remember.
What time was it when you went to McDonald's? Like,
I think it was like probably 1 a.m.
1 a.m.
Yeah, it was 1 a.m.
And was that because you wanted to experience American food?
I wanted something right away. I wanted something right away because the flight was so long. It was like more than 11 hours. And I was tired and hungry. I said, okay, let me take you somewhere. And then we went there. The lights are like a lot brighter here.
Yeah.
So, and places was really spacious. And I had food, and so I said, "Is this chicken?" I couldn't see the feet. I couldn't see anything. I couldn't see the I just saw something like a blob.
Yeah.
And I ate it and said, "Oh, is this chicken?" So, it. Dan told me, "This is a very famous brand, McDonald's. So you are now officially." You have tasted the American culture, literally.
Right. And yet so many of us are ashamed of our fast food and wouldn't want to necessarily be proud of that, but it is unmistakably American. So tell me about your immigration journey. How did you come here? Tell us about your visas. And you came to America probably during the most difficult presidency regarding immigration that we've ever had. So how did you get in the country, and how have you been able to stay, and what doors has God opened up for you during this process?
Wow, good question. This is really a broad thing in my mind. I will try to be specific.
Well, start from the beginning.
Okay, so here I had I would say, a blessing from God to be connected with the leaders of this great ministry called Living Hope International Ministries. For many years, my parents and I were actively helping the mission of this church to be developed in Africa, and particularly in the Democratic Republic of Congo and the Republic of Congo. Since I was a teenager, I was helping with translation. I like the English language. I was learning that, and I wanted to be better at that. And every time I had a chance to translates for and interpret for the pastors coming from the United States in New York and Latham in particular, from this church, Living Hope International Ministries, to Kinshasa in the Congo. My parents will translate, and I will join them in translation. So I got to know Papa Vince, Reverend Vince Finnegan, which
is my dad.
Oh, that makes us brother. So we grew with affection with each other. I call him Papa Vince. He's a father figure to me. But over the years, we developed a very strong relationship, and he really wanted to do something for me in light of dark time that I faced in my life. In 2008, I already expressed that my interest to come to the United States, since my parents were missionaries. So they first came here in 1986. They studied theology in a biblical college. So they told me about the United States, and I was curious since I was a child. I was like, what is this American dream? I would like to experience that. So Reverend Vince Finnegan, who I call Papa Vince, he heard that I was interested in coming here, and they say, oh, this can be a venue for me to help you. Since 2008, we've been talking about it, and I started being prepared, learning English, trying to ameliorate and improve my English. But it took so long. It
That's
took
10
like,
years
oh yeah, it
later,
took
right?
10
Because you
years.
came 2018.
18, yeah, that's that. It took so long, but I didn't know it would take that long. It was in the same time like believing God, because I truly believe that God wanted me here. Like God wanted to give me an opportunity to be able to reach out the world, and I think the best way to do that, in my understanding, for my life, is to be here and reach out to the world.
You came over here on what kind of a visa?
I was working on a student visa, so I was working on getting a student visa. So
Okay.
I started doing in the Congo. I started preparing myself, having the appropriate documentation, and sitting for an English test called the TOEFL, test of English as a foreign language. All international students will have to take that to measure their English with the academic level that is here. So if they will be able to understand once they are here. So I passed that, went through paperwork. It's a long process, really tiring. If you don't keep the eyes on the prize, you can easily just say, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. It's so many paperwork, so many years going by, because you have the process with the college itself. Then you have the process with the U.S. Embassy. It really takes long. And I faced a terrible situation where everything were ready, immigration speaking, like all the documentation, but the U.S. Embassy denied my visa application in 2015 when I first requested for the student visa to be able to come here. And their reason, they say, insufficient documentation. That's all they say.
Did you have insufficient documentation?
In my understanding, I had everything that was required. So I was beaten up. I was sad. And my mom really were a strong figure in my life, like really helped me through that time to believe in God. I was like, is this not the will of God? Is this God trying to tell me that I shouldn't go to the United States? Is it? I was just questioning myself, questioning God, like, what is this? Why it didn't work? I had everything. So it was really sad time for me personally. I was, preparing myself for so many years, building up, like learning English and all that. And then boom, you're not qualified to get the visa. It was difficult. But I rose up. Thanks God. I rose up, and my mom really encouraged me a lot. She said, in life, you have to wake up and try again. It doesn't work all the time. Things doesn't always work all the time. So, but pray, seek the will of God. If it is His will, it's going to eventually happen. Do what you have to do. So then I rose up. I said, okay, I need to do something else. But meanwhile, throughout all these years, 2018, 9, 10, 2011, all those time until 2015, I was still involved with Living Hope International Ministries, still translating anytime we received in the Congo missionaries from the United States. I was still involved doing that. And I figured, okay, my English in the Congo, to you American people, you still find a lot of flaws with my English, and I'm still trying to improve that.
And yet your vocabulary is better than most of us.
I will take that as a compliment. I will. So for the people of the Congo, my English was excellent.
Right.
And some people even say, you're not a Congolese, you a British or a New Zealander, or you an American. I say, I'm not American, I'm Congolese. I say, your English, you just like, okay. So I could do something with that. I went to a youth leadership center called Kuvuna Foundation. There was a man who leads that. He really liked young people, and he wanted to do something for young people in the Congo, since you have a lot of young people that really don't do anything because of just, there is not much to do when it comes about job or like initiatives, unless people do that.
Yeah, let me ask, how do most people get food? Because if you're in an urban area, it's not farming, right? So how do they get food?
So people have, this way of life to look for food every day. They will go to sell things. They can. What is most popular to young people is, I would say, telephonic credit card, which is I will need to explain that more here. I know credit card mainly it reconnected with the bank and your credit card, but you have some. Oh, here maybe I would say prepaid card for the phone.
Yeah, we have that.
Good. So that is very popular in the Congo. So young people mainly will sell that. They will have like an umbrella and they will have a little table, and then they have those credit cards.
So merchandising.
Yes.
People are selling, and that's how they get money.
Yeah.
And what's the money called there?
Franc Congolais. That is Congolese franc in French.
And then they can use that to buy food.
Yes.
And that was basically your future.
Yes, basically.
But because of your language skills, you found this other opportunity with this guy. And what was that opportunity?
Yeah,
sort of training or leadership?
Yes, it
program?
was mentorship program. So because I knew the English language is not dime a dozen in the Congo. So it's really put me in a very fortunate position to do something else. So I could teach English as an elementary level and intermediate level. So I could have like a job to that leadership program institute called Kuvuna Foundation Youth Leadership Institute. So it was good. And there I met this man, Mr. Charles, who became my mentor. I really had a chance to give what I had to other people, in the same time teaching English, but also telling people about God and helping the young people through, all the challenges we all face, like for example, being addicted to pornography and all those things, because God helped me too personally, and I was able to tell other young people what, they can do to just not to be addicted to that.
Right.
So I was very, very blessed to be able to use that canal to teach English, but also to mentor young people. And through that time that I was teaching English and mentoring young people, I had this initiative to better my leadership skills in Kenya with this program called YALI, Young African Leaders Initiative. And I applied for that, and I was accepted among the first candidate they accepted. So,
so all of this resulted in improving your chances of being accepted for a visa to come to America.
Yes, I would say that was one of the motives, and it just worked out that personally I also just build up a lot of skills, so that was useful.
And so when you applied again, they accepted you?
Oh yes.
Was that pretty exciting when that happened?
Oh yes, and I think I also gained a lot of throughout that time. Also, I also gained a lot of, I'll say, maturity with God. I learned to really be dependable and fully dependent on God. When I asked God, should I go to Kenya to do this program? And, I received a favorable answer, and I went there. I was accepted. I went there. It was successful, really important. And I came back. I said, okay, the time has come. I need to do this application again. And I had all these things accomplished, and I went to the U.S. Embassy, and just many things were different. Even the energy, I felt that this is the good time and it's going to work. Throughout that time, I developed a lot of strong relationship with another mentor. This person who became a mentor in my life, Reverend Tom Riley, who is one of the pastors at Living Hope International Ministries here. He prayed with me. So he really cared so much that he didn't sleep at midnight, because we have 6 hours of time discrepancy.
Right.
So he had to stay awake at midnight for me to receive a phone call at 6 a.m. in the Congo. So that was really something that also gave me a lot of courage, because I involved God with a prayer. I prayed with my mom prior, a day earlier, but just before I go, I prayed with Reverend Tom, and it was good. And everything was connected. I felt like this is the right time, and it's going to work. I went there confident. The person at the embassy who was asked me questions, I replied to that. I was a little nervous, but I started replying to all the questions. It went well, and he said, "Congratulations, your visa application is approved." In my heart, I say, God, I thank you. I just I know for many people in this country be like, this is no big deal. You apply and you get the visa. For somebody coming in the Congo, getting a visa to go to the United States is a special thing.
Wow.
So I say, God, thank you. I was just like, it was overwhelming. Like I got this visa. In the Congo, you have a lot of celebration. The society is so, like, you have so many challenges, even like for having food, for going to school, like for transportation. You have to fight to get in a taxi. Like many people will fight to get in a car.
So everything's a struggle.
Everything is a struggle. Everything's a struggle. So we have in the Congo celebration for everything. You you have celebration for everything. You have celebration for a child when they finish their kindergarten. You celebrate. You have celebration for a sixth grade elementary school when they graduate. They get like they call it a certification for elementary school. You have celebration. You have celebration for high school when you get your state diploma after you complete your high school degree. You have celebration for those who have the means to continue to go to college. They celebrate also, and then you have celebration for visas. If you get a visa to a country that you want to go to, you celebrate. So I per se didn't celebrate like have food and stuff and music at home. I just celebrated in praising God with my mother and sisters and friends that we praise God. So that was a milestone.
And how long was that visa good for?
So that visa was good for 2 years because my academic program was 2 years. It's really just depend on the academic program.
And what happened next as far as your visas?
Then that is another story. That is another testimony, I would say, that God has shown mercy in my life, and just like he worked with me so mightily that challenges after challenges after challenges. Let me get into it. So I arrived here on a student visa. It's called the F1 for those who know the immigration world. So I came in the F1, but the problem with that initially, when I got the visa in the Congo, the dates were incorrect from the U.S. Embassy in the Congo.
Wow. The
dates of the visa. And I didn't know. I didn't know about immigration world. I was excited. I got a visa. I came here in June, but at the airport, the CBP, which is the Customer and Border Patrol officer, said, "Oh, you have a problem here. You got a problem here." He said, "Problem number one." He really spoke like that, but I don't know if he was joking or he was trying to be. But he said, "I was like, ooh, what is that?" And he said, "Your visa date doesn't match with your. There is a certificate of eligibility of a student, so the dates must match," and it didn't match. And I was like, I didn't know what to say. And he said, So he was working on it. He asked me a question. He set me aside where other people were released, like they have their stamp, and they go.
So
and
you couldn't get into the country right away.
Get into the country.
You're stuck.
I was stuck. Yeah. Even my friend Dan, who came to pick me up, he was looking for me outside. He even used I don't know how to call that service.
Oh, the PA system.
Yeah. To look for me, to say, "Hey, I'm looking for this guy," and I was nowhere to be found because I was still stuck at the custom. So, and then I was there like for 2 hours. I arrived probably at 9. Yeah, I arrived at 9 p.m. and I was released until like 11. So I was there all this time. The agent, the officer worked through that, and then he understand that I was not in control of that problem, and he said, "Okay, I'm going to give you this visa stamp." So once you get the visa at the CBP, the custom, you get a stamp matching that visa. Now that stamp will be your immigration status. So when you are in the country, it's no longer the visa keeping you in the country, but it's the status.
Stamp.
The stamp, yeah. So the visa just serve like a entry purposes, like you knock on the door and they let you in. So so he gave me a B2 stamp, which is visitor stamp, as if I got a B2 visa, as if I got a visitor visa.
You came in as an F1 student visa, but because there was a problem with the paperwork, it got converted to a B2 visitor visa,
Yes.
which only lasts for how long?
So if you're lucky, 3 months, but mine was just like 2 months.
Oh my goodness.
And
So you had
sometimes
2
just-
months, then you had to go back to Africa.
Yes.
All of that, years
For
of
nothing.
preparation, learning the language, this
Yeah.
leadership program, going to Kenya, and now in 60 days,
Gone.
back to Africa. Wow. So when that time was about to run out, what happened?
So, the community here prayed. They were praying with me, and so we really let this case in God's hand, because like we were powerless facing this giant immigration world. We were powerless.
Very
We were-
complicated world.
Yeah, so complex. Papa Vince and I, we were really walking everywhere, going to the USCIS, which is the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services here in Latham, and also at the airport, the Albany airport, we went to look for help, like to the Custom and Border officers, and they say, "Oh, we can't help you. We can't help." They were compadecents. They understood it was a sad situation for me. And one of them was really kind and said, "Oh, okay, this is my card. Like, call me if I can do anything. But right now, I just don't know what I can do. But call me if something comes up," and something like that. So we didn't get any help. And there was
Did we get a lawyer too?
yes.
Yeah,
I think
we also
after we got
spoke
a lawyer.
with a lawyer at some point.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there was the lawyer actually provided like good guidance, and she said, "Okay, at this point, all you need is just a new visa, because you were already, you got a visa first, so you just need another visa again to correct that, a visa that has a correct date. So all you need is just to leave the country." And she suggested to go to Canada because it's the closest embassy. So all I needed was a U.S. embassy to have a visa again. So, and that is another blow I'm going to tell you. As I am a Congolese citizen, we need a visa to go to Canada. I think for you being an American citizen, you don't need a visa to go to Canada.
No.
Yeah, so your countries have treaties, and I had to apply for a Canadian visa. So I applied. Everything was good. I had friends there. I could arrive and go to the embassy, a U.S. embassy in Canada, in Toronto or Ottawa, probably.
Right. So the rule is you have to leave the country in order to get a new visa.
Yes. If I stayed, I will be in a category of the people who break the law.
Right.
And you'll be called an illegal immigrant. And
Right.
I will not.
Just throw my own 2 cents in here. That doesn't make any sense. Why should America force you to leave the country in order to get a visa to come back to America? You're like a boomerang. They throw you and you come right back. Why couldn't you solve the problem here with the American immigration service?
Services, yeah.
Yeah. The only reason why you're looking at Canada is because it's so close.
Yes.
I mean, from where we live, it's only about 4 hours drive to get to Canada.
Yeah.
Also, I should add that in America, generally speaking, Canadians are considered to be friendly people. And, that they generally want Americans to come there, and they're maybe considered like another section of America, from our perspective. They wouldn't like us saying that, but like the way we think of it is like, all right, well, you keep going north and eventually you get to Canada. It's just sort of like, you have the city, you have the suburbs, you have the country, and then you just keep going, you get to Canada, So we have like a very friendly attitude towards Canadians, at least I'll speak for myself, and yet they did not accept you.
Yeah.
They shut you down.
They shut me down. So I applied for the Canadian visa, and
you apply to a Canadian visa so you can go to Canada to get an American visa to come back to where you work.
Yes, everything was like, I want to do everything legally. But
Right. But the system is so complicated.
So complicated. So I applied for it, and their reason to deny my visa, they say, you don't have enough money. Now I'm laughing about it, but it was so like shocking, because what it was shocking, because I had sponsors who had like a lot of money, and the money was detailed there. The sponsors sent a letter. Okay, we got this person covered, all the expenses he will have in Canada for these days. He will be there. He's gonna visit and gonna do this. But they say reply again.
That's crazy because, you had a whole organization behind you,
Yeah.
Living Hope, right? But then you also had people that knew you,
Yeah.
that could vouch for you. And in Canada, you had people that you could stay with
Yes.
that could also vouch for you, that
Yeah.
you're not a terrorist or you're not somebody that's up to criminal activity, that you're honest. And the whole reason why you want to go is because you're trying to follow the rules.
Yep.
You're not going to move to Canada. You're going so you can come back. And still, they rejected you.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
That was another blow. I was like, oh, I was devastated. I was like, what is this thing? Is it? I went back to my stage of asking God, am I in the right place?
Right,
Is it really
yeah.
this plan that I should come here? What is this happening?
Yeah.
Why is not happening? So a lot of questions. So it was difficult. In the same time, people will ask, but why don't you just go back to the Congo and try to get another visa from there? Oh, well. So in that time, when I arrived here, then in the Congo, there was an election time. And when you have election in the Congo, it's not always peaceful. You have people walking, peacefully protesting, but you have the military, which is controlled, by the president who was there before. I don't want to say names. They will kill people. They will shoot. They will take people down. So elections in the Congo is
It's a terrible time.
terrible time. And the U.S. embassies are closed, so I couldn't go. And the airport itself, the airport is closed as well. So I couldn't go back to my own country. I couldn't go back. So it was a dilemma. Because the B2 visa I had, the visitor visa that I was given was running out. But in January 1st, 2019, if I was in the US, I would have broken the law, would have become illegal immigrant. So I had to leave right away. And the Canadian embassy denied my case. And then what else? So I was praying. I was really I was devastating. I didn't know what to do. So it was a very dark time, one of the darkest time of my life. And I am so thankful of the Living Hope community and your father in particular and Reverend Tom and all these people pray for me, my friends. And it's the prayer could help me go. And so we went back to the lawyer, and this lawyer helped us a lot in Albany here. She said, okay, at this point you need another country. you need to go to another country to get this visa and come back here. So I had no idea where to go. I was praying and I had this idea. Now I understood that was God forging my path. It said, go to Kenya. I had this in my mind, go to Kenya. I said, I was in Kenya before and I studied there and I know the country. I have friends there. I can go there. And the good thing with the Kenyan government, they have this policy of the tourist visa you can get at the airport.
Right.
You don't need to.
$20 in a dream and you're in.
Yeah, actually $50.
$50, that's right.
So you can literally, anybody in the world, you can leave your country without any visa, just book the ticket, go to Kenya, land in Kenya, Nairobi, and then go to the custom and say you want a tourist visa, and you're gonna get it because they promote their tourism. They want tourists to go in their country. So I had to leave before January 1st. So I left in December 29th, 2018, and I arrived there December 31st, 2018. And when I checked the availability for the visa interview, it was booked solid for all those coming days. Like I arrived there and I wanted as soon as possible to do that. And it was all booked, and like for 1 week and 2 weeks, it was like all booked. It was 9 p.m. there, and I felt in my heart, go try again. And I went to the website, a spot was available 3 days after.
Wow.
So I'm like, wow, this is God. This gotta be God. This is not coincidence. This gotta be God. I applied. I got that spot immediately. I applied and things. And so 3 days after, I went for my interview. And so I saw that man. He asked me a question. The first question was, why are you here? I can see in the system you have an F1 visa. Why are you requesting for another F1 visa? So I was shocked by that question because I thought they will know, but he didn't know. And I said, actually, so that visa, has a problem with the dates and it didn't match with the certificate of eligibility of a student. And then he checked that and said, oh, okay, I see that you were arrested in the U.S. Tell me about it. So, and I was like, wait, is this like a trap? And then I said, oh, so at the CBP, the custom, when I arrived in the U.S., when the officer gave me that 2B2 visa, I remember he took photos of me, the photos that is comparable to the one you take when you're in prison. Like, those
mugshot.
Mugshot. He took that. I don't know why. And then he asked me, you were arrested? I said, no, I was not. And he said, I can see you were like arrested. And then I remember, and I told him that the officer asked me to do that, and I simply obeyed. I felt that he was wrong. I felt something like, oh wait, this is like in a movie when you're a criminal. Mm-hmm. But I didn't fight it back. I just obeyed.
Right.
He nodded, and then he paused. He said, tell me everything. What happened in the United States? And I told him the whole story. And he went through paperwork. He said, okay, show me other paperworks and from the USCIS. And I showed everything. And he said, congratulations, your visa application is approved.
Wow.
For the second time.
So how long were you in Kenya?
By that time, it was just 3 days.
Uh-huh.
It was just 3 days. That's why, going back to what I was saying, in my lifetime...
So I remember I blinked and you were back. It wasn't like... wasn't even sure if you had left. I mean, you were already back.
Yeah.
So you were like a boomerang,
Yeah.
Went over to Africa. So you had to go to Africa to come back to the United States.
Yeah. It's
unbelievable.
It's I will never forget all this.
Yeah.
I will never forget all this. So it's I came back here, when I had to book the flights and things. So I think I had 1 more week. So I came here in January 15, 2019, and then I could now go to school. Finally, I could go to school. I could explain that.
So long as you were on the B2, you couldn't enroll in classes.
Exact. Yeah, because a visitor is not supposed to go to school as by the immigration laws. So, yeah, that is, if I look back on that, I'm like, God, you are powerful. You are more powerful than these immigration institutions because they are powerful. Yeah. I'll give them that.
And the bureaucracy is real. I mean, it's real hard to get through all the red tape and make any progress. So you ended up going to college to study what?
So I studied human services. I always had this thing in my heart to care for the elderly people. I think that is something from like my cultural background because in Africa you do care for, you do respect and care a lot more for your parents when they are old. You don't send them to a assisted living home. You take care of them at home as long as they leave. And so I wanted to do something like that. One of my goals in life to have my own assisted living place so I can care for this population. So I wanted to do that.
And that took 2 years or
yes,
2.5?
Yeah. No, that took 2 years.
2 years, and you graduated.
Yes.
But this presents another problem. Graduating from college means your F1 visa is no longer effective to keep you in this country.
Oh, yes. I even forgot about that.
So then what happened next?
Yeah.
How are you still here?
So, I'm still here. I experienced something, I would say miracles over miracle. And this time it was really smooth. I would say it was really, really smooth compared
shockingly smooth.
Shockingly smooth, especially under this administration. I know the immigration side was really, really rocky.
So what did you apply for?
For this time, to be able to work, you need a employment authorization or work permit. You call it. So I applied for that. So the thing that is really particular for this time, we all know about 2020. We have Mr. COVID. I call him Mr. COVID. So we have this COVID thing that is another valuable reason for the USCIS, the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, to deny cases for foreigners asking for employment authorization in the U.S., it's a valid point. They will say, okay, we don't have enough job for U.S. citizens. Why should we give you an authorization to work? So I was expecting that. So I applied for that. My DSO, who is the director of international students at school, said, okay, you may be waiting for 3 to 5 months before they reply to you. There is a serious backlog and it may take forever. And probably, okay, he was positive, but expect a denial too. They may deny your case, but he is very supportive. It was not negative at all.
And if they deny your case,
then
you got to go
means
back.
You're out. Yeah,
you're done.
You're done. They will give you they have courtesy of. They give international students a gift of I think 1 or 2. I'm forgetting right now. Probably 2 or 3 months to
settle
to
your affairs.
To either settle your affairs. To either visit the U.S. and then you can go back, or apply for another immigration venue. They provide.
So you have a little grace period there.
Yes, that's the appropriate word, a grace period there. So it was 3 months. The problem was if they take long to adjudicate my case and then they deny it, then it will be 3 months waiting and goodbye. But if they deny my case before 3 months, then I have some room to think of something else. Yeah, so it was just not good. It could have been really bad. But, God was there. God is there always. And, he just polished my path. And curiously, miraculously, instead of the time for the USCIS to process my case be 3 months or 5 months because of COVID backlog, it was 29 days. That is insane.
Wow.
29 days and with a positive result.
Wow.
You send an email, your application is approved. And I thought that was a scam just from,
You couldn't believe it,
Oh,
huh?
I couldn't believe it because when you're in immigration world and other people try to scam you and they will send you stuff and so you can send them money and you have a lot of charlatan there. I didn't believe it. And I waited because I was I need to wait for the official letter from the USCIS. And it came and I saw that. I said, wow, God is good. It just happened. 29 days approved. Unbelievable. It's happened. So, and thank God that's happened. And with my goal and the way I see I should serve God, I was able to get a job at the Living Hope International Ministries as a community outreach coordinator, as I love working with people. And, it's a blessing. It's really a blessing to be able to serve God that way. And I can see all the things that happened in the past just build me up for this moment. Even going to Hudson Valley, Christianity, I would say clearly that being a Christian is not easy right now, especially in college environment.
Yes.
I was pointed finger. I was, even I had a teacher saying that I was judgmental. So the teacher was teaching and then said, she was talking to the students, say, don't be judgmental when, we deal with people in the human services. Don't be judgmental like him, like you. So you pointed
wow.
me. I said, wait, me? I said, yeah, like you, Christian, And I say, no, we not judgmental. We follow Jesus Christ and Jesus Christ care for people. Yeah. So
sounds like she was judging you.
I was really taken aback.
I
was like, wait, me? But I told her kindly that, you have Christian. I understand you have some Christian who are judgmental, but you also have Christian who are not. So, and it's just not fair to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we hired you on when? This month, right?
Yeah, just this month. So I started
a few weeks ago. And you are serving as our community outreach coordinator.
Yes.
And this involves both your passion for care of those who are in need, which what do you call that? Human services.
Yes.
I tend to call it benevolence ministry, but
yeah, that is too.
whatever you want to call it. And then also evangelism outreach. But of course, neither of these are new roles you're playing. It's just we're allowed to officially hire you and pay you now, whereas before you had to do it on a volunteer basis. I want to ask you a couple questions about that. as far as your focus on evangelism and what you've learned here. And I want to ask you, first of all, why are you so passionate about evangelism?
God put it in my heart. I always burn. I have that flame to share the word of God. I always think if I die tomorrow, I want to do something today. So everywhere in Kenya, in the other Congo, in my Congo, here, I always when I have a chance to talk to people, especially young people, I will find a way to share about God.
Yeah. Now here, there's a lot more hostility against Christianity than back home. And so how have you been able to deal with that and navigate that? You can't just go up to somebody and say, I would like to talk to you about God. I mean, you can, but they're at least people around here are going to look at you like you've got 3 eyes and you are trying to rob them or something, because it's considered to be, Christianity or whatever religious belief is considered to be a private belief, somebody's personal business, their bedroom, for example. It's almost like you're asking, can I see your bedroom? Can I look under your bed? You don't even know this person, right? So there's this reaction like, whoa, but you've been able to navigate that a little bit, and I think your personality helps. And I wonder if you could explain just briefly what you have found that has worked as far as connecting with people and being able to talk to them about God in a natural way.
Yeah. So back to college, I would say I'll have friends and I'll talk to friends, and few friends would tell me, oh, other people don't want to friend me and things like that. So I will think of that, oh, this can be a venue for me to do something to bring a remedy for this problem, help this friend to make friends, and in the same time, I can use this for evangelism. So what I think works is the one-on-one personal relationship with someone, building up friendship, and over the time, talk about God, especially also when you feel that they open up to you. So that has been very, very successful. 2 years ago, actually, I started a group on Facebook Messenger, also a group text for people who don't use Messenger app on Facebook. And I called the group Friendship and Activities. So I came up with this idea to have different activities during summer, like bike rides and video game one day a month. Not a gamer per se. And also just different activities, going to restaurants and hiking, those kind of things people do. I will set that up, and people are attracted to it. They're very attracted to it. And when they come to activities and I build up friendship with them, before you know it, we start talking about God. So,
and how many people are in that group?
I have now 132 people on Facebook Messenger.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
And 25 people on group text.
Right, right. Those are the cool ones that don't use Facebook.
Yes.
Yeah,
so
it's
insane. I'm marveled how it has been working, and
what you do is you put out information about an activity, and then some people maybe will come, some people won't come.
Yes. And I have these, there is this feature, you create a poll, you create polls, and then people can vote oh, I can make it, I won't make it. So I write that already, I will make it, I can't make it, maybe later, something like that. And people will vote on it, and they will come and show up. And I will say 5 to 10 people regularly meet other believers through me and come to church, and I would say 3 or 4 are very serious about God and they're learning about God. So that is incredible, because it's, as you were saying before, it is really not possible. At least maybe it can be a little possible. It's very challenging to just go cold turkey and talk about God to someone. I tried once. I was buying some clothing, and there was this girl was really looking at me, and I was like, oh, let me say hello to this wonderful person. I say hello and start talking to her, and I say, would you be interested to visit my church? And she said, why not? She gave me her phone number, and we exchanged contact, but she never came. So it didn't work.
Yeah.
It didn't work.
Well, you didn't have the relational credibility.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, if you have already some trust built with that person, then they know a little bit more about you. But for somebody to just come, especially if they don't have a Christian background, to come to a church, unless they are a very extroverted, very adventurous person, is very unlikely. But they will lie to you all day long and say, "Oh, I'll be there. I'll come."
I'll be there. Yeah.
And then they don't come. I remember early on, you were so frustrated because so many people at school would be like, "Oh, they're coming," and you'd be waiting on a Sunday morning, and like, "Oh, there's all these people are going to be here. It's going to be great," and then nobody would come. That is maybe a cultural difference too in America.
Yes.
Let me ask you about COVID-19 and how this has affected your evangelism efforts. Has it completely shut you down, or what have you been able to do even with COVID?
Well, so as we pray and come ask God for guidance. So certainly is very challenging. It's reduced a lot of activities that I could have done and gotten more people involved, first just for entertainment, and then gradually having them learning about God. So some outdoor events that I'm doing that is very popular that I kept doing, like we'll go to a park, we will join, like you, for example, I will have some friends joining you when you do the frisbee or disc golf.
Disc golf,
yes. And so the outdoor activities I kept doing that. We had the indoor, not much. Like I usually have this game called the Settlers of Catan that people enjoy, but only friends that we see each other on a daily or weekly basis that could come and wear the mask, of course, and come. But it was not popular. So of course, COVID has really like reduced my capacity to have people together. So I will think of other ways, especially outdoor activities, like and recently going out with the ice skating that I really see was really
you just did
popular.
ice skating, and you do you also do volunteering. Food distribution places.
Actually, that is interesting because you have a lot more people coming there, like hundreds of people there. So it's even more challenging, like to think that you can be safe there. Or to invite people to go there. But I think because it also has some humanitarian sense to it. So some people who also are like very protective of themselves, they will come to that one, because, they can help others.
But I mean, the point is over and over, finding something to do with people that are not Christians or maybe are interested in Christianity a little bit, and then finding a way to mix them in with people who are believers already, so that these relationships can start to build, so that over time they would be able to come to church and be able to hear the message, and it would make a difference in their lives, and that they would experience God's love. Our one of our mottos is taste and see that the Lord is good.
Yeah.
You want people to taste and see it. And how do they taste and see it? Well, by spending time with you. And spending time with others who have the light of God in them.
Yeah.
So I think it's very good that you are so tenacious. Many, I think, have just given up.
Yeah.
They're like, it was already insanely hard to share our faith. And then we had COVID. And now it's the winter. So let's just quit.
Yeah.
But you're not quitting.
Oh no. Yeah, for me it's really a matter of serving God, and in a way that He has made it possible for me. Yeah, just to connect with people. I really noticed that it's God's talents that He has given me to connect with people. Different type of people. Different type of people. A smorgasbord of people, a variety of people, but it's God working in me. And so far we have, these like friend of mine who became like my best friends coming to God, loving God, and we just met at a gym at school, and told him about what I do, and so that friend likes soccer, and we talked about soccer, and with my game day that I have one day in a month for video game, we play FIFA. So the international soccer competition, and he loved that. He came to that, and we connected, and now he's a believer. Right. He loves God. It's just amazing how God empowered me to use that canal to get people to him. And now I have some indoors activity that seem to work well, as people have found peace to wearing a mask, that it's helping somehow. You have this chess game and checkers. I started having that once a week on Thursday, and I was really laughing yesterday, sharing this story to Papa Vince and other people at the fellowship yesterday, at the home fellowship, that even my fashion style has helped me with evangelism.
Yeah.
So
I believe that you are an effective weapon of God in this culture because of your unique configuration. Being from Africa, your accent, your look. These are all things that combine together to make you effective at what I would say most of all is disarming people, because they have their defense up as soon as a stranger comes by or somebody they don't know. And you are a master of taking the walls down, making people feel comfortable, just your personality. I mean, so much about you that, I believe God has and is continuing to use you mightily in this role. So, I think it's really exciting to see. I mean, I could go up to the same person and say the same things that you say, and it would have a different effect.
We have different gifts. As you extraordinarily preach, I'm like, this man is anointed. So I am happy how God
we have different roles in the body of Christ. Yeah,
and it's so important for working together that way. So going back on the story with the fashion, so I know this person at school when I was studying, and she has 2 teenagers, and they like chess. So she reconnected with me. I lost contact with her. She reconnected with me when I made the president list at my college, and she said, "Oh, congratulations, you made a president list." I said, "Where did you see that?" I said, "On the website." She sent me the link, and then I checked there and said, "Oh," and then she asked me, how are you doing? And then we reconnected, and she asked me what I've been doing. I told her what I'm doing, and then she said, "Oh, my kids like chess. I'm going to come to that." So this Thursday, I'm expecting her to come with her 2 teenagers, and her teenager is going to bring 2 more friends.
Oh, very good.
That is a great connection. And before you know it, we'll be talking about God around that chess
and it's
game.
interesting, too, because you're playing chess, but you're playing it at the church.
Yes, yes.
So you kind of sneak them in the door, and they know what you're about. They know what you're about, but you're also not pushing it on them.
No.
And you're not saying, "Oh, unless you come to my church, I won't be friends with you." You're not doing anything like that.
Yeah.
You're just being honest about who you are and constantly inviting people into that.
Yes.
So,
especially I see an open door, especially when someone open up to me, especially when we share personal struggles, and I will say, just like Peter, money and gold I don't have, but what I have is the word of God. Yeah.
Well, talk to me just to close out here about the future a little bit. How do you see the future developing for you, or are you unsure at this point?
So I am sure of the work that I'm doing with God. The work of God, that side I am sure, I am sure with it. I know that I will be very actively involved with the missions in Africa. Whenever I am needed as a translator, I am going there and helping with the ministries there to get bigger and many people to receive the gospel. So I know that is for sure. And over here, I know that I am continuing doing this evangelism with this church here. For that I know. For the rest, my personal life, I let God. Yeah.
Very good. Anything else you want to share by way of closing?
In life, when you have a stronghold, which is our God, Yahweh, the Father of Jesus Christ, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, you are all set for life. Hold on to God. And for those who are unbelievers, and those who are looking, I will really say that, no matter where you are in life and your challenges, like, God will give you stability. Even in the middle of chaos, you will be with him. You will feel his presence, and he will guide you. And without God, I will not be the man I am today. Because, just going back a little bit, I didn't share this in my childhood. I faced war in 1999, 2000. I was about 6-7 years old. The Congo had war against Rwanda. Rwanda actually wanted to, sorry, my Rwandan friends. So Rwanda actually wanted to invade the Congo, and there were conflict there because of natural resources and things. So I saw people killing each other. I saw that. So
wow.
I could have been traumatized. I could have been negative. I could have been a child soldier also. I could have been many things, but God really showed me mercy. And despite the famine, I also went like 6 days, not voluntarily. I fast a lot. Not voluntarily, but I went 6 days without food because we just didn't have food. And I remember when I was a child doing agriculture with my parents to help them feed me and my sisters.
Yeah.
So, and sometimes I will be so excited that I will make some money when I grow plants, vegetables, and I will sell them. And I was like, I want to buy this for myself. And then my parents, would be like, we don't have anything. I don't hold this against them. I understand the situation. It's about survival. I had to do that. So I had to give them what I produced, and it was not from a bad heart from them to do that. So from coming from all of this background and all these challenges, are like, life is meaningless without God, and life is meaningful with God.
Yeah.
Like, in the middle of chaos, you will find, with God, you will find a way. So that's what I will share.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you very much for having me.
Well, this concludes this interview. I don't want to make too many remarks here at the end, considering the fact that this is already such a long episode, but I will just say that if you want to get in touch with Timypaul Lupe, the way to do it is to seek him out on social media. I put links to his Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram in the show notes for this episode. Or if you'd like to email him, you can do that at timypaul@lhim.org. Timypaul is spelled Timypaul, all one word, at LHIM, stands for Living Hope International Ministries.org, and get in touch with him that way. Also, if you like, you can come on to Restitutio.org and find episode 383, Coming to America with Timypaul Lupe, and leave your comment or question there. Thanks for tuning in. If you'd like to support Restitutio, you can do that online at restitutio.org. We'll see you next week, and remember, the truth has nothing to fear.